Hey friends, I'm Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Simulator Sunday. That was the 65mm Walksnail rig chasing the little RC drift cars around. Patrick was filming with his phone 240 frames a second, so we were trying to get like a really clean pass with the two cars and then me chasing them, which he managed to get, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I wasn't like running him around the whole thing. I was just trying to hit that one corner over and over and over again where he was. So we're going to talk today about the heatsink on the 1S setup here. That canopy pop out already? Yeah, so the regular 1S Walksnail setup has the heat sink still on the VTX, and that heat sink is kind of thick. And on this 75 rig that we did the other day, it is pushing into the AIO. And as many of you who have been paying attention know, we can't really have that. Your AIO, your flight controller, whatever PCB your gyro is on, that needs to float. Like, that's why we put rubber grommets, the little gummies, on all of those boards, on all of our flight controllers. The flight controller needs to sit, and it needs to have those rubber grommets in all four corners, so that as the frame and everything else vibrates underneath it, the flight controller can stay as vibration free as possible. If you have something pushed into that flight controller, it's going to take all of that shock absorption property, all of the shock absorption properties away from the rubber grommets, and it's going to put all of the vibrations directly into the gyro, which is no good. Mr. Meathead, thanks for subscribing, my friend. So yeah, I realized that right after the stream on Friday, and didn't even bother going any further with this. Didn't set it up or anything like that, because I just know it's not going to fly right like this. The main problem with the easy solution is just to put more spacers on the top of the rubber grommets, to just lift the VTX up more. But I don't know, that I don't want it any higher. These screws that I have won't necessarily work. I do have some potentially longer screws here. Quad City Bay Area with a super chat. Thank you, dude. I'll read your comment in a minute. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. I got to give it a little bit more thought. I used the tallest grommets that I've got on this. So yeah, I don't know. The other option is to take the heatsink off, which I'm assuming I could do with like a hot air gun and just my fingernails or whatever. I was really looking forward to having a rig with the heatsink on it, though, to be completely honest. So, but somebody just posted over on our Discord talking about the overheating times. This is my full-time job, believe it or not. If you like this content and you would like to see it continue, I'm funded completely from you beautiful people. That way you get completely honest reviews. I'm not beholden to any company that's sending me a ton of free stuff and expecting good reviews. So yeah, the way that you do that is hopping over to CiottiFPV.com. Patreon definitely helps me out the most. And you guys have been killing it joining the Patreon. Thank you so much for that. It makes a huge difference. I've gone from like being in the danger zone month before that, to like back in a good spot right now. So thank you so much. If you haven't joined the Patreon yet, there's a ton of benefits to joining it. I swear to God, it's worth the couple of dollars a month. At the lowest tier on Patreon, you are only paying 7.5 cents an hour for this content every single month. If the next hour is not worth 7.5 cents, then I'm doing something wrong. So yeah, if you can join the Patreon, definitely hop on there. Not only you're going to be supporting me to keep these live streams continuing, but you're going to get access to a YouTube playlist with 90 videos that are unlisted, sketchy flying, Patreon-only live streams that we've done, behind-the-scenes stuff, all kinds of good stuff there. On the Patreon itself, there's a whole bunch of tech articles that I've written. You just click Tech Talk up on the top, and that's going to filter by the tech articles. Although I've cleaned the Patreon up a ton. I've deleted hundreds of these live stream announcement posts on there. So you should be able to scroll top to bottom on the Patreon now and just kind of like look through all the stuff. I left a lot of stuff up there that I think is kind of good to be up there. There's a lot of the audio versions of these live streams up there. I think I'm going to delete those notifications, because if you have one of them, you can access the whole thing. And also Riot9 has been grabbing the audio and he's got a spot that he can link you to over on the Discord for you to get all of the audio versions. I stopped doing the audio versions of these live streams like a year ago, because the way that I was doing it took a bunch of time, and to get it uploaded to Patreon took a bunch of time. It was just a mess. Riot 9 has a really slick way of doing it. So yeah, I think I'm going to take those down off the Patreon, and that'll make it even easier for you to scroll through and see all the cool stuff. You're also going to get access to 2 different Facebook groups, which unfortunately I no longer have control over because I've lost my Facebook to them hackers. But I have made some moderators on those boards, so hopefully they can keep them alive. Not having the admin is a bit of a problem, but there's nothing I can really do. Unfortunately, Facebook doesn't give a shit about people that have been hacked. They just leave you out to dry. It's really shitty. You're going to get access to something else. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, joining the Patreon is the best thing that you can possibly do to help me out. If you're on the general admission tier, if you've got a couple extra dollars a month, $2 extra a month, we'll get you on the $5 a month tier. That's how math works. But that'll also get you entered into the monthly giveaways. The first Monday of every month, I do 4 giveaways. If you get onto the $5 tier, you'll get entered into every single one of those giveaways to win TinyWhoop and toothpick stuff. If you don't want to win TinyWhoop and toothpick stuff, there's also a $10 tier a month for 3-inch micro brushless and Cinewhoop stuff, and then there's a $20 a month tier for 5-inch parts. And then if you want to be a super supporter and you've got an extra $1 a day, you can join a $30 a month tier that'll enter you into all 3 of those giveaways. So you'll get entered into the $5, $10, and $20 giveaways every single month. And if you win any one of those giveaways, you're going to get minimum like $40, $50 worth of stuff, and that's going to cover your next few months of, Patreon patronage. So do it. You're going to love my nuts. Giveaways. You're going to love my giveaways. I've also got an Etsy store with some really fun stickers and hardware. I heard the sound, but I don't see the thing up. Over on Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me, or you can just look at what I'm offering on Fiverr and then message me. That way I don't get the 13% or whatever that Fiverr takes taken out. And then Teespring, I got some really fun apparel and random stuff over there. If you want to do a super chat, but you don't want YouTube to take 30%, you can do PayPal here. Just make sure you type at CiottiFPV in the chat. Yo, check your PayPal or something like that. And then look at all these affiliate links. If you're doing an order on the internet, some content creator that's struggling their little asses off has an affiliate link to that website more than likely. See if you can find it and support the people that make the content that you're able to watch for free here on YouTube. I have affiliate links for WeBleedFPV, NewbieDrone, FPV Cycle, Amazon, GetFPV, Ummagawd's website, HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Butter, AliExpress. So yeah, if you hit these affiliate links at any point before you check out, I will get 1 to 6% of your entire order. It doesn't affect you in any way. A lot of folks have changed their bookmarks to my affiliate links so that they don't have to come to CiottiFPV.com or try to remember or any of that stuff. You can also, if you just type into the URL bar and you use their suggestions, you can remove suggestions. So you can type AMA, it's going to suggest whatever Amazon page you go to the most, probably the 20-pound tube Creative Lube. And you can remove that suggestion, hit my Amazon affiliate link a couple times in a row, and your browser will think that's where you want to go to the most often. Lots of ways that you can support your buddy without having to try to remember how to support your buddy. In the chat, Apache Smoke Wooden Sniper was first. Freelojo was next. I'm just going to say Michael instead of ruining his last name. Espander, RT McKinney, Riot 9, Brandon Woodford, Nani, FP Avery, Hockey Rounds, Freelojo, Northern Tier, Aaron FPV, Kendrick FPV, Joe G, Elmo Hawk, RT McKinney, Brandon's Baked Beans, Aaron FPV, Fun Per Volt, Elmo Hawk, Gusto, McConnell Studios, Hemmingson, Brandon's Baked Beans again, Joe G, Paul Whittingham, Quad City Bay Area, Freelojo, Riot 9, Athix, Mr. Blue Sky, what's up everybody? Quad City Bay Area with a $2 super chat. He says, what's the best whoop at 250 grams that can freestyle? Once we get up to 250 grams, I don't really consider it to be a whoop. To me, a whoop is 65 millimeters or 75 millimeters. I guess you can make the argument for 85 millimeters motor to motor. 1.2 inch props, 1.6 inch props, or 2 inch props. Arguably 2 inch props. Once we get up to 250 grams, that's just That's just a micro, in my opinion. I'm assuming that by saying whoop, you're looking for something that's guarded, which I gotta be honest, I don't necessarily understand. Freestyle is separate from prop guards. If you're gonna fly freestyle, that means you're gonna crash hard, and prop guards are not going to survive. So, what's the theory behind... don't do another super chat, I mean, unless you want to, but just post in chat, Quad City Bay Area, what's the philosophy behind having it be a TinyWhoop that also freestyles? Because, yeah, they tend to be mutually exclusive. At 250 grams, you're probably not going to find a prop guard that's going to survive a single collision. And freestyle is going to have multiple collisions per battery. So, yeah, let me know what the thought process is there, and then I can hopefully suggest something to you. Quad City Bay Area also doing a $5 super chat. He says, I think remote ID will make sub 250 more popular, but I heard sub 250 grams might be in danger in the future. Yeah, I mean, everything that we're going to be doing is going to be in danger in the future, unfortunately, with the... But I think only momentarily. I think that the delivery drone shit is going to start, and then people are going to start getting hit by them. Dogs are going to start getting chopped up by them. And then it's going to get... I hope to hell that it's going to get the axe. But unfortunately, by that time, they'll probably have us regulated really hard, and they won't, like, undo those regulations. So, yeah, God only knows what the future holds, but, I mean, we're certainly not going to get any help from maybe we will, I don't know, it's hard to tell, but, Riot 9 is only keeping 2 to 3 months of the audio, on the Google Drive. Okay, that's fine, though, that's fine. So, yeah, it's... in, I want to say it's Japan, their weight limit is 100 grams. That's one of the reasons that the new Betafpv 2-inch 03 air unit carrying rig is exactly at 100 grams. That's one of the thought processes. So yeah. Bitterroot says Foxwhoop 25 is supposed to be unbreakable. Yeah, that's true. I have heard that as well. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The prop guards, the ducts, whatever you want to call them. Let's call them prop guards. They are going to the other thing they're going to do is slow the rig down quite a bit. They make something that is not really all that aerodynamic, much less aerodynamic. So in terms of like flight characteristics, it's kind of a mess. Okay. UK laws, no regs on racing and DIY quads. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess the Fox, realistically, if you want to do freestyle and you want prop guards, the Foxwhoop is the one that seems to be super durable. So I guess I would go that direction, because freestyle is going to really test the shit out of, and racing is going to really test the durability of any build. So I think that would really be the only thing that I could recommend. I guess the UK laws say that you have to have guarded props. That sucks. Yeah, for racing, that's going to really suck, because it's going to be really slow. Hopefully everybody else has prop guarded rigs. Otherwise, you're going to get stomped. So, yeah, I would say the Foxwhoop. There's a whole bunch of companies making a similar style, and they're probably all pretty durable, but the Foxwhoop is the one that has been tested by multiple people. The one that comes to mind is Nick Burns slammed it into the side of his house, into the brick wall, over and over and over again, and it survived. So that's the one that I would certainly go with. If if I had to be sub 250 and it was for freestyle and it had to have prop guards, that's the direction that I would go. CH3FPV says, have you seen the new 702 by Betafpv? Crazy specs, bro. Yeah, they contacted me about it about a month or so ago, right around the time that I lost Facebook, and so that conversation disappeared. They managed to reach out to me through email a week or two ago. So we've been talking through email. They want to send me some and get my feedback on them. So yeah, we'll see them soon enough. The bearings are a little concerning. I have a feeling the bearings are going to be the weak point, but maybe not. I'm super interested. Yeah, we'll see. I'm really glad that they did them in high KV. That's very, very smart of them. It really shows that they're actually paying some attention, which is great for a change. For any of these companies to actually listen to the people that are flying stuff hard. Let me get caught up on chat here. Hey, if you want to talk directly to me, you can either do a super chat, or you can just type CiottiFPV into the chat, and it'll light up an orange for me, and I read all of the comments with tags. Patchy Smoke Winter Saber says, what's up? How are you doing? Hello, Gangely Gang. How's everybody doing? Freelojo says, why did I just order a Mob 6 Beta 65 frame and some screamers? Because you want the best flying TinyWhoop ever. WeBleedFPV has 30+ thousand kV motors now, 702s. So yeah, TinyWhoop is not your only source for big power 702s. Which is amazing. And now apparently Betafpv has them as well. So we've got a bunch of different options. I can't imagine that somebody won't be in stock at any given time. I'm much more inclined to support WeBleedFPV and TinyWhoop over Betafpv. Nothing against Betafpv, but they're a bigger company. And, you know, some people have had negative experiences with them. TinyWhoop.com is incredible. Jesse is like we are so lucky to have him in FPV. We are so lucky. And same thing with Zotek. He runs a great shop, supports the hell out of me and a lot of other awesome people, and is just a great dude. So we're super lucky to have them. Again, nothing against Betafpv. It's just that WeBleed and TinyWhoop are like as good as it's going to get for us. Neither one of them have these motors with bearings in them. The bearings will be slightly more efficient, but there's no way that they will be as durable. Maybe they're durable enough and they'll never break, but they will never be as durable as the bushing motors that are coming from TinyWhoop and WeBleedFPV. So, you know, vote with your dollars as often as you can, but if you're going for the absolute last, you know, molecule of efficiency, it's going to be the Betafpv motors. Quad City Bay Area with another $2 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, curious why you cater to sub 250. Mainly, I mean, I did initially for just because I was broke. When I got started in this hobby, I was actually unemployed. So I kept everything as cheap as possible, and I noticed that with micros, the batteries were a lot less expensive, the motors were a lot less expensive. The other thing that came from it was I was able to fly them everywhere. So like I kind of looked at like, all right, I'm going to want to get good because I have to get good at everything that I do because I have a sickness. And so in order for me to get good, I want to be able to fly everywhere and anywhere. And with the lightweight quiet rigs, I was able to fly them like in my apartment parking lot at the time. And that was huge. I was able to come home from work and get like 10 to 20 batteries in every single day. So that was really, really, really a big part of how I was able to get good quick. After about 1.5 to 2 years in the hobby, I started flying 5-inch rigs almost exclusively, and I spent the next like 2 or 3 years really backing off of micros. Basically, I'd kind of gone as far as I could at the time with micros. We did not have the powertrains that we do now. they just didn't have the power or the throw to do a lot of the camera moves that I was seeing 5-inch rigs do. And so, yeah, I wanted to continue getting better as a pilot, so I started flying 5-inch, and it did the job. Like, it really allowed me to continue to push myself. Lately, over the last, like, year and a half, I'm to be completely honest, I'm kind of burned out on freestyle flying. I've flown thousands of batteries freestyle. It's great fun, don't get me wrong, but you do something enough and it becomes less, like, you know, heart pounding. And at the same time as that, I started flying cinematic gigs, professional gigs, and they're really fun. Like, it's really, really, really fun to fly with a subject and to interact with that subject. And, like, I find myself, when I go to fly freestyle without a subject, you know, like the parking lot is the subject, it's just not quite as fun. Also, like, admittedly, doing this as a full-time job is much more time consuming. Like, just going to work and doing like 40 hours a week at a job where you can spend a bunch of time on the internet, like doing your, you know, social media stuff and your research FPV work, versus being like on the clock doing that stuff and having to mix it in with everything else that goes into doing FPV full time. I just have a lot less time to go fly freestyle. Most of the freestyle flying that I have time to do is out in front of the house, and I can't fly 5-inch in front of the house, so it's got to be 3-inch, 2.5-inch, 2-inch, TinyWhoops, whatever. But also, like, doing more with the smaller rigs has actually kind of brought freestyle flying back a little bit for me. Like, flying 5-inch rigs, like, you know, it's done. Like, it's been done to death. There's a ton of pilots that are infinitely better than me. With 3-inch rigs and whatever, all sub 5-inch stuff, big fish, small pond kind of thing, right? Like, not many people is doing it. And, like, I find it fascinating, like, what we can do with them. Like how much we can do with a 3-inch rig. And now with the regulations coming, I think it's even more important. So I'm pretty lucky that I started off with micros and you know, get called by some people as like the micro king and whatnot. Yeah, it's been an interesting kind of build, and I think it did hold me back from getting even better as a pilot and maybe making it a little bit bigger on the 5-inch scene. But that's okay, because yeah, with the regulations coming, I think most people are going to be flying sub 250 within the next few years. And that's not a bad thing anymore. Like, you can do so much with a properly built 3-inch rig, 3.5-inch rig, and now even smaller. So I think it's totally fine. Realistically, the thing that the bigger quads do, the bigger, more powerful, heavier quads do, is they shrink spaces down. So, like, you go to a massive parking lot, and a 5-inch rig will make that massive parking lot feel and fly like you're flying a TinyWhoop in your house. And that's, like, super interesting, and like, that blew people's minds for a number of years there, but now I think most people have kind of seen that, and, like, once you've seen it once, it's kind of like, okay, well, what else you got? You know, like, just railing through a set of trees in a parking lot, it's like, okay, like, that's cool, but it's way cooler for the pilot than everybody else. With the small stuff, like, you do a power loop around your coffee table, and people are just like, what the fuck? How did you do that, right? Like, it's just, and it's, yeah, it's really nice to be able to just kind of fly at home, because it's, to some extent, it's really all about stick time, right? Like, whether you're trying to get good or whether you're just trying to enjoy FPV, the time that you spend on the sticks is the most fun that you're having. And so if I can do that, like, right now within the next 30 seconds by just plugging goggles in and sitting here and doing it, that's pretty awesome versus having to get in the car and drive 30 minutes to, you know, Squares or Technicolor or one of these other spots. And, you know, quite honestly, like, this basement with these little guys is like the best location ever. There's a big 3-cube dive gap there. There's all these hanging gates to do CiottiLhoops on. There's the newbie drone set up here. There's the coffee table. There's a bunch of walls to wall ride. There's the FPV cube with all the lights on it, right? Like, this basement as a flying location is better than any spot in Atlanta, right? There's so much to do here. And, like, I can change the fucking light colors, and I can make the light strobe, and I can live stream it. Like, there's all these benefits. So, yeah, they all kind of factor into that. Happy Father's Day! My God, I'm the worst. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. David Ciotti, I love you. I hope you're watching this. Happy Father's Day. You've raised the strangest kid ever. But, you know. Hey, I'm putting good stuff out into the world. What else can you ask for? Quad City Bay Area says, one thing I hate about Whoops is the throttle. I talk a lot about how to fix that, actually. There's something called Throttle Expo. And Throttle Expo is super important for these really high-power, lightweight rigs. You're going to set your Throttle Expo amount to either 30 or 40, and then you're going to get your throttle midpoint is specific to you. In your OSD, you're going to put your throttle value, and then when you're cruising around your main spot, you're going to keep an eye on what that throttle value is when you're at a normal cruise. For me, that number is usually about 38% throttle. So 38 is what I set my Throttle Expo midpoint at, and it just fixes the issue. It makes a really, really, really big difference. So yeah, there's a fix for that. Quad City Bay Area with another $2 super chat. He says, yes, you're the sub 250 king. Thank you, brother. And then Your Majesty with a $20 super chat. Super generous. Thank you, dude. He says, I see you have a working lava lamp. You might need to buy Bardwell a new one. You can put $15 towards the O3, but put $5 towards JB's new lava lamp. It's just the bulb that burned out. I think he like leaves it plugged in 24/7. Our Maggie's 12-year-old Azalea does the same thing. I got them a lava lamp for Christmas 2 years ago. They just leave it on 24 hours a day, and their bulbs burn out at about the same frequency as Joshua's bulbs burn out. All right, Your Majesty, let me get you up here on the board. So we're gonna go 25, 35, 40. Thank you, brother. And then I'll take $5 and spend it on hookers and blow. This charger is gonna just keep on beeping forever. So let me push this button, and now it'll be cool. Be cool, charger. Be cool. I'm going. Tonight is Roger's birthday. Roger runs Alpha Male Visuals, one of the production companies here that actually uses me as their FPV pilot. Most of the other production companies I've recently found out are using basically FPV pilots that charge practically nothing. I'm starting to really see what's going on here in Atlanta. Basically, we have so many FPV pilots that, and they're not conforming to like the sort of a whole bunch of us pro pilots a couple of years ago kind of got together and worked out some prices that are really good and actually work for the amount of prep and building and equipment rental and all the things. And we have all stuck to that pricing. We've turned down gigs. We've turned down many gigs because they've come in under that pricing and kind of like a little sort of union. Apparently there are a whole bunch of FPV pilots right now in Atlanta that just don't care about that, and they're just taking jobs for like no money. I'm talking like people are putting $5,000 rigs up in the air, Cinelifters, for like less than $1,000 a day rate, which is just asinine. Like typically to put a Cinelifter up in the air, you're well over $3,000 day rate. Mainly because of the cost of the rig, but also because of the danger. But yeah, so that is where that is why I haven't really been able to book many gigs, which really sucks, because it's called the race to the bottom, and every industry goes through it. The photography drone world went through it 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. And it's just a nightmare now. Like, people expect you to come out and do photography drone work for like $50 total, like an hour of work, and then the travel, and then the pre-gig work and the post-gig work. It's just nasty. It happened to photography many moons ago. It's one of the reasons that I got out of photography. Yeah, it sucks, and it's, you know, it's, we're only hurting ourselves doing it, and I refuse. Like, I won't I won't do that. I'll just keep turning down gigs. Sorry, maybe that's stupid, but I'm just not going to be a part of the problem, basically. I'm lucky enough to get a couple of proper gigs, and like the real gigs, like the companies that have the money, that want things done right the first time and want them done safely, they'll still find those of us that are not doing that. And like, those of us that have been around for long enough, like, we're the ones that are kind of able to do that. Like, I see both sides of it. Like, it's incredibly frustrating, but I see the other side of it. Like, if I was just a hobbyist and somebody offered me $50 to come and fly, I might do it, because like, it's gonna be, I'm gonna go have fun and I'm gonna get $50 for it. Like, I don't know. I like I said, I see both sides of it. It's super disappointing that yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna go on a big rant about it, because there's nothing I can do about it. You know, the people that are taking these jobs for no money, they're not gonna change. So me bitching and moaning about it isn't gonna accomplish anything. But yeah, it sucks. And I have a feeling it'll lead to me moving. Like, I've been told by a couple of other pro pilots now, get the fuck out of Atlanta. Like, just get out of there. It's not the place where you're gonna get work. And that sucks, man. Like, but you know, Maggie and I have been talking about leaving here in a bunch of years anyway, so might be fun. We'll see. You know, I've moved from New Jersey to Charleston, and Charleston to here. And yes, the moving is very stressful, but man, is it fun to relocate to a new area. And then I've moved from Alpharetta to here in Lawrenceville. The process of moving, even though it's difficult, I love it. Like, it's really cool, and you get a whole new area, and it's just like, it's the spice of life, man. So yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It still bugs me that the camera does not sit perfectly even in this 65mm Walksnail build. All right, let me get caught up properly on chat, because I still think I'm behind. But again, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. Espander says hi. Brandon Woodford says, what's going on? Hope you're having a good Father's Day. I am indeed. Elmo Hawk says, oi oi. Espander says, that chasing is stupidly good. Thank you, dude. Joe G says, hey. Northern Tier says, looked really good, the mini drifts. Elmo Hawk says, is there a worth it bind and fly 1S Walksnail whoop out there? I think there's a Mobula Walksnail, isn't there? There might be two. There might be a 65 and a 75. Let's see. I flew the Vision 40, which is basically that, at Rampage, and it was really good. I was really surprised. I would change the canopy out. It's got a 3D printed TPU canopy. That's going to be really heavy. So I would swap that out. I don't know what I would swap it to, but I would swap it out. There we go. There's a Moblite V2 1S. So this is basically exactly what I just built. the V4 frame, minus the motors. These motors are going to suck, so you're going to want to swap these motors out for sure. What are they? 10. Oh wow. Okay, I take it back. The 20,000 kV. Wow, these motors won't be terrible. They won't be great. You really want 22,000 or 23,500 or even 25,000 0802s. But yeah, these motors won't be terrible. It's got the regular 1S mini. Well, what the hell? How are they doing it? How are they keeping the VTX from hitting the AIO? They must, because I use the Walksnail rubber grommets. They must have another taller grommet, or they're putting another thing on there. 33.5 grams without battery. Let's see what mine weighs. I think I'm heavier than that. I'm 35.4. That could be due to the tri-blade propellers. Are they shipping this? No, they're shipping it with tri-blades. They're on 1002s as well. Huh. Yeah, they're a little bit lighter. I wonder why. Same canopy. They've got the antenna going through that top hole. I don't know how they did that either. My top hole's completely filled, friends. Strange. Maybe they're just sending it. Maybe they just said, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to send it. I'm so fucking tired of people saying send it. Oh God. What, like, once everybody is saying something constantly, is it just me? Like, why am I the only one that instantly wants to stop saying that thing forever? Am I just a dick? This is definitely worth it. This Moblate is almost well, no, that we've, so it's on the Super B flight controller, which is one of the flight controllers that has issues with the new versions of Blue Jay. So yeah, the Super B F4 seems to be an okay option for AIOs now. It's super annoying that you have to solder the motors directly to it. But other than that, yeah, just make sure you get it on Blue Jay 0.16, and it's apparently completely fine. So yeah, this is totally worth it. Totally worth it. This is a great little build. Very, very, very similar to the build we did Wednesday and Friday. Almost identical, as a matter of fact. So yeah, that would be the one. There's also, it looks like a Mobula 8 version of it. I don't really know about that. Like, that 75 on a 450 mAh 1S battery is going to get great runtime. And if you need more power, 802 25,000s or the Flywoo 1002 23,500s. Plenty of power. You're not going to need more power than that. And so, yeah. I would say get that 75 millimeter build, and then if it doesn't have enough thrust, just swap the motors out and away you go. Thanks again, Quad City Bay Area, for the super chats. Fire Mike says hello. Right, 9 says due to space constraints, I'm only keeping 2 to 3 months of audio on my Google Drive. CH3FPV says, have you seen the new 702? We talked about that. June Locust says happy Father's Day. CiottiFPV and Collective. Fintan with little up arrows. Up arrows point to his previous comment that says, does anyone else find the Mobula 7 1S really underpowered, or is it just my batteries? Ministar 450 70C. So those batteries are not folded cell, so they're never going to perform all that well. If you've got a completely stone stock analog Mobula 7 1S, the problem is KV. The motors that it comes with are way too low of a KV. So yeah, you want BT 2.0 folded cell batteries. WeBleedFPV and TinyWhoop.com have 450 mAh folded cell BT 2.0 batteries. Those two things right there will make a massive difference. If it's still not enough power, you're going to do a motor swap. Swap it over to, if you want to stay with a big burly motor, you can do the GetFPV sells them. Do me a favor and use my affiliate link. They sell Flywoo 1002 23,500 kV motors. Those are great. You can run them on the new Gemfan 1208 tri-blades. Or go on to TinyWhoop.com and get a set of the Snowblower 802 1.5mm shaft 25,000 kV motors. And those will absolutely rip. So yeah, you got a bunch of things you can do to significantly improve the performance of that rig. Thanks again, Your Majesty, for the super generous super chat. Quad City Barry also says, what's your go-to video VTX? Completely depends. Analog versus digital. Big quad versus small quad. Yeah, depends completely upon the build that it's going in, and a couple other things. So tag me again and let me know the answers to those, and I'll be able to help you out a little bit more. Rockcrawler says, I'm getting into Avatar system and just changed my Mobula 6 flight controller after killing a FET. Now I don't get an image in the goggles. OSD works fine, just no image. Any ideas? Kind of panicking. OSD, so just think about, like, have like a holistic approach to this. Think about like the whole system. That's not what I meant to do. Think about the whole system that's sort of in play here, right? So you've got your camera that's taking video. It's sending that video down a wire into your flight controller. Your flight controller has an OSD chip. That video signal goes into the OSD chip. It has the OSD applied as a layer on top. That then sends it to either another wire going to an external VTX or a built-in VTX. The VTX puts it into the antenna, shoots it out to the goggles. Goggles take it through their antenna into the receiver, into the lenses, right? Think of the whole system when you're troubleshooting. It really, really, really helps. I know it sounds very basic, but even for myself, like, I have to sit back sometimes and be like, hold on. So in your case, camera is sending nothing into the OSD, and then the OSD is putting its layer, and that's sending it to the VTX and sending it out to your goggles. So either the camera has blown up, or the wire between the camera and the AIO has failed. That right there, right? Like, initially when you think about that, your snap decision is camera's bad, replace the camera. No. When you think about the whole system, there's the camera, but then there's the wire that goes. And then you can also think about the OSD chip. Is there something weird happening on the input of the OSD chip? I would check the wire between the camera and the AIO first, or the flight controller first. If that's good to go, replace the camera second. If that doesn't fix the issue, the OSD chip is the problem. You need a new flight controller. So yeah, always really important to kind of just take a step back and, like, all right, what's the whole system? And then, so, you know, you've got a motor that's twitchy, same kind of deal. Think about the whole system. The battery is there. It sends electricity through the cables down into the ESC cables, into the ESC. That then splits it up with a bunch of FETs, sends that down the motor wires to the motors. So it really just gets your headspace to really look at everything that it could possibly be, rather than the things that everybody on Facebook says that it is right away without asking any questions, which is completely worthless, right? Be better than the Facebook commenters and think about the whole system and troubleshoot it that way. Crowd City Bay Area with another $2 super chat. He says, oh no, I missed one too. He says, whoops are stress bomb, but so interesting making WHT. Quad City Barry is a dad, and he's drunk on Father's Day. I'm calling it right now. He says, what's your take on TPU? Its weight. TPU is great stuff. It is a little bit heavy, but rubber is heavy, right? And it's similar to rubber. So it's no heavier than anything else that's made of rubber. But it's brilliant stuff for a lot of the things that, you know, like for a GoPro mount, it's arguably perfect. Like, we haven't seen any molded GoPro mounts, because of how good TPU is. There's just like no reason to mold one of the damn things, because printing them at a TPU gets you 99% of the way there. So yeah, TPU is amazing stuff. Let me scroll back up. Keep getting caught up here. All right. Oh, Rockcrawler, you said avatar system. So yeah, the wire is the MIPI cable. I mean, I guess what I said still applies, right? I said wire from the camera to the flight controller. But okay, so you said avatar system. So take the flight control. Yeah, take the flight controller out of the mix. So with a digital system, the camera itself sends its video directly to the VTX, and then the VTX is hooked up to the flight controller with TX and RX to pull the OSD out of the flight controller. So the VTX, in your case, is able to pull the OSD out of the flight controller, but either the camera or the MIPI cable are the problem. So it's one or the other there. So that's a little bit of an easier troubleshoot for you. Because the flight controller basically can't be the problem in your case. It's either the camera or the MIPI cable. And you can get those separately, so yeah. TinyWhoop says, just found that my ceramic antenna broke off of my F4 5-amp board. What length wire should I replace it with, or put another ceramic antenna on it? I don't think you're going to be able to get another ceramic antenna on it. You would need a hot air station, but I have found a little piece of wire actually works better than the ceramic antenna, and it's lighter and it's flatter. The length that you want is 32.3 millimeters. You'll never be able to cut a wire that precisely. Your best bet is to try to find an old FR Sky receiver that you have floating around and cut the active part of the antenna off of it, because that is pre-cut to the right length, and then you're going to solder that onto the board. On my channel, I have I've done that before a couple of times actually. So if you come here, go to CiottiFPV, click on the little search icon here, the little magnifying glass, and search for antenna repair, and you will definitely find it. Here it is, Fix Shit Friday, fixing a broken ELRS ceramic antenna. And I think on this stream we also talked about, here's another one where I did it. On one of these two, I talked about the different lengths. There's a ton of information online. Just Google like 2.4 gigahertz antenna lengths. Yeah, tons of information. Here's range testing them, the ceramic antenna versus a janky piece of wire. You can also just buy a 2.4 gigahertz antenna with like UFL. So if you go to like Amazon, for example, you can search for 2.4 GHz antenna, and oh yeah, it's gonna come up with a bunch of router antennas. Put FPV in there, and I bet you'll find it. There we go. Nope, that's 5.8. There we go. Yeah, there it is. So that's like what you would be looking for. Just little simple whip antennas, and then you just cut the active element, which is the end bit, the silver bit. You're just going to cut this off at the base here, and then solder it directly to the pad that I show you to solder it to. Yeah, this silver bit that you can barely see here, that's the active element. The black bit here, you can see the braiding. The braiding blocks the signal from coming out. So yeah, actually cut it. Don't cut it exactly here. Don't cut it right here. Cut it like back here, and then pull this shit off. You're gonna need a little tiny bit to solder it to. So just cut it ever so slightly where the black insulation is, and that'll give you a little tiny bit to solder it to the pad. And yeah, you'll be good to go. But like I said, those two live streams where I did the replacement, we talked through all of it. Your Majesty says, you think just showing up at an indoor go-kart track with a whoop, they'd let me fly? Probably not. Probably not, because with go-karts, there's another level of danger, and like they probably want to make sure that nobody gets hit in the face. You might, so try to talk to somebody. Yeah, I don't know how to handle that. I would maybe try to reach out to them. It's always a question, right? Do you try to reach out to them on the internet and then get permission? But they're not going to like understand what it is if you just show up with a very safe looking, very lightweight whoop of some sort, and try to talk to somebody that's not, just try to talk to somebody with a functioning human brain, basically, and just say, hey, look how safe this thing is. The FAA considers it to be safe, blah, blah, blah. It's under 250 grams, whatever. That's what I think you would have the best luck with. Also, like, try to make it worth their while, right? Like, ask for their marketing person, ask who does their marketing, and say, hey, I want to do this, but I will give you this footage. You can even go as far as to say, like, hey, I'm a professional FPV pilot. I usually charge a day rate of $1,000 or $500 for 1 to 2 hours of flying. Just hit them with some numbers. But say, like, I would be willing to do this for you and just hand you all of the footage over as a thank you for the first time here, for me wanting to do this. If you want to do something more fancy down the road, it would probably be a paid gig, but for me just to come and have fun, I would be willing to make it worth your while by giving you $500 to $1,000 worth of footage. All you got to do is okay me to fly, and blah, 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 blah. They still might say no, because they don't want anybody to get hit in the face, right? Like, go-karts are sketchy enough. Now you've got a drone flying around out there, so, like, I would not hold my breath being able to do that. But there's a couple of ideas of things that you can kind of, and I would maybe not, like, you're gonna want to read the room on that one big time. If you can talk to someone with a functioning human brain, you can hit them with, like, hey, I usually charge this, and I'm a pro pilot, and I've been flying for XYZ years. If you can't get in front of somebody with a functioning brain, you're like, just dumb it down, right? Just dumb it down and be like, hey, this thing's totally safe. Can I just, like, fly it around for 10 minutes? Or, you know what I mean? Like, just so read the room on that. But that'll be a tough one. I have a feeling they're going to say no, in fairness. Fintan says, do you find the stock Mobula 7 1S underpowered? Absolutely. We talked about that a little bit ago. It might just be my battery. Oh, so all right. So yeah, I already talked about that. Veritas, who's this? Happy Father's Day, buddy. Thank you, dude. Your Majesty says, what's your preferred way of mounting an Insta360 Go to a Whoop? Top mounting seems very unstable. Been using that 3D printed flywheel mount for their micro ductless 45mm thing. Yeah, top mounting is kind of the best. Bottom mounting, it ends up hitting the ground a lot, and it really makes the rig fly bad on the bottom. It makes it like pendulum all over the place. What you want to remember is our motors make more thrust than braking. So the more weight you put on the bottom, like, not only will it, but it'll only brake. Like, when you have weight on the bottom, it's gonna swing, and then these motors are gonna have to hit hard to fix that swing, and then these are just gonna break down a little bit. If you have the weight on top and it swings like this, it's like, when these motors fire up, they're gonna push the camera more than, like, kind of trying to pull the camera, if that makes sense. So yeah, I find that for, like, cinematic stuff, having the weight up on top is much better, because the motors are pushing into that weight rather than trying to, I mean, the other side is braking, but yeah, I don't know. Also, like, I love for my FPV camera to be as low of a point as possible, because that's what I'm flying through. So if I slam really low on the ground, I don't want the HD cam to be the first thing that hits. I want the FPV cam to be as low as possible. Yeah, I've tried it both ways. I've had tiny lifters set up with top mount and with bottom mount, and the top mount flies infinitely better. The bottom mount was a huge mess. It was really, really, really difficult to fly that rig. So yeah, top mount is as good as it gets. I mean, the instability and the shitty flight characteristics are because TinyWhoops don't have nearly enough power to pick up 20 plus gram cameras. So we're asking way too much. Like think of it this way, right? The TinyWhoop, all up, the TinyWhoop is, let's say it's a fat one. Let's say 50 grams all up. And then the camera, Insta360 Go 2, is 26 grams. So the camera weighs half what the quad weighs. Blow that up to 5-inch rigs. The 5-inch rigs are like 600 grams. Imagine trying to fly a 300-gram camera. GoPros are 100 grams. Imagine trying to fly 3 GoPros on a 5-inch rig. Like, it would fly like ass. So that's the problem, and that's why I call these guys tiny lifters, because the power to weight and the weight of the camera compared to the weight of the rig is that of a lifter. Although the lifters have gotten a lot better nowadays, but still, yeah, this is called a tiny lifter for a very specific purpose. It's not just like a cool name. It's like that name exemplifies the flight experience. And yeah, so for like to get like 5-inch flight characteristics, 1/6, 240, you basically need a 250 gram build to fly an Insta360. Well, no, hold on, 25, 50. No, you'd need a 150 gram build. So if you were to do 150 to 200 gram rig and then put an Insta360 Go 2 on it, that would be roughly the same, and that would fly really nice. That would fly similar to what a 5-inch rig is going to experience with a 100 gram camera. A lighter weight 5-inch rig, at least. What else we got here? Veritasuiza says, I'm looking to make an ultimate FPV toolkit to travel with. Do you have a list of things you would recommend? I was actually going to do this the other day, but then I forgot. This is how I carry all of my tools, and I think that you should too. So, you know, Rotor Riot and Newbie Drone and a bunch of these other places sell like big toolkits with like, you know, individual straps and shit. And that's all fine and dandy when like space is of no concern to you, but like when you look at those kits, like there's tons of wasted space on the inside of those kits. All of the gaps between the tools, like, yeah, okay, it looks cool when you open it up and everything's all like in its own little strappy or whatever, but like I don't care about that. This has more than what those kits have in it, and all of that wasted space is taken care of because everything is crammed next to each other. Not to mention that this right here is a single like lipo battery bag. So you've got a way of safely bringing home your battery that dropped a cell so that you don't have to leave it on site, right? So like this, having a Kevlar battery bag is super, super, super useful, just in general. And then having it hold your tools right now, like the bag is free, in terms of like the space in your kit, right? So, it is like the tools that you have in there is going to depend on whether or not you're flying. If you're flying, you're not going to have any of the sharp tools in here. But this is my little toolkit that I can do pretty much everything with. This is a $40, which is kind of absurd, driver, but what's magical about it, and RDQ does not sell this anymore, but there's a bunch of places that you can get this from. I can't get it off right now, but inside the handle is M1.5, 2, 2.53, and Phillips head. So that's all inside the handle, and that's why it was $40. And then it's got, Jesus, what? It's got hex on the front, right? And then I just happened to have an extra one of these little M5 drivers that are hex from like a Black & Decker toolkit in the garage. So this now has pretty much everything. Technically speaking, this is pretty much like all you need right here, because it's got all of the Allen, all of the Allen sizes and Phillips head, and remove your M5 5-inch prop nuts. So this is the biggest part of the puzzle here, to be completely honest. But also, pair of spring-loaded tweezers is nice. Try to keep the little rubber tips so you don't stab yourself. Pair of flush cutters, of course. I have a couple of rigs with the M3 nuts on them, FPV Cycle 2104 motors. So I have this guy for that. Unfortunately, that nut size, they don't really sell a wrench for. What I should do is just try to find another one of these guys, hopefully in the garage, for this M3 size. I'm actually going to take this off, because just having this in there is ridiculous. This is just a complete waste of space. So to remind myself, I'm going to do that after the stream. I'm going to put these over here on my right to try to find another one of those things, because that would eliminate this needing to be in the bag, which would be great. Little travel toothbrush, which is nice if you need to clean something. Tiny little super sharp tipped tweezers that are not spring loaded, just like regular, spring open tweezers. Don't really need both angled and straight, but I mean, they don't really take up any space, so threw them both in there, and they both came in the kit. I have a this is a die, as in like tap and die. This is the dimensions of the screws on the top of our 5-inch motors. If you crash inverted, you can really mangle the threads on the top of the 5-inch motor, and this will fix the threads. And usually that happens when I'm out flying. There's a little gray ball in here. I have no idea what this is. That's weird. I don't know how that got in there or what that is. This is one of these little Strix X-Acto knife jibby jabbies, which is super nice to have. I've got a big old fishing weight here because I also have a roll of fishing line in there so I can get rigs out of trees. Another little socket for that wrench, which I can hopefully remove from the kit. And then a couple of, these are actually fuel injector wrenches. I have these in here because they are the right size for, on some of my rigs I have hex standoffs, and these will go on the hex standoff, and then I can crank the screw on top or bottom of it. These are pretty specific. You probably don't need these or have a source for fuel injector wrenches, but it's just another thing that I had in a toolbox that, yeah, came in super handy. This is a piece of like car weather stripping that I got from Rotor Riot, actually way back when, that you can wrap around a 5-inch motor to get a nice grip on it. You can also do it with electric tape, but yeah, this was a nice little score from Rotor Riot way back in the day. And that's it. That's the majority of the actual tools that I kind of load out with. Yeah, having them in a little battery bag like this is my favorite, because you've got a little single battery bag, which comes in really handy every so often. This is just from like AliExpress or Banggood. Kind of get them all over the place. And yeah, that's what's in my little tools bag. So, and then I also do have I have, you know, one of these segmented things in my bag as well, with a whole bunch of smaller shit, like one of every screw size in M2 and M3, and nylock nuts and all kinds of random, some wires and shit like that. But in terms of tools, yeah, that little bag is, in my opinion, the way to go. With, you know, I've been building like kits, like our flight bags forever. Like it started 20 years ago with airsoft stuff, more than 20 years ago with airsoft stuff. Like, and it's really just about like looking at your bag and just like every single individual thing. Like, do I absolutely need this? And is there like a second purpose that this can serve? And then you just, each individual thing, like just try to have everything have, and be realistic. Like, am I going to want to fix this out in the field, or is this absurd, right? Like, you're not going to want to do a full build in the grass out at the field. So some things you just really don't need. Other things you do, though. So, yeah. Just go through it and just try to keep in that mindset of, like, can this serve two purposes? Because that's, you know, that's really ideal. If you can have stuff that, like the little Kevlar bag, right? Like, it serves a purpose to hold the tools, but it also serves the purpose of, if I have a damaged lipo that I don't want to leave where I'm at, I have a safe way of getting it home without burning the building down. Good question, Veritas Weasel. Denzel the Terrible says, how's your Sundays? Good now that I'm hanging out with you, beautiful bastards. Toggles FPV says, hey man, hate to bug you, but I just got an Acro B65 BLV4 Ghost Edition. Everything was fine. I switched to a different color frame, and now all of a sudden my video feed is cutting in and out. So either the camera has failed, or the wire from the camera to the AIO is having some sort of an issue. Maybe the plug has come out, but that's about it. I mean, although it depends. When you say video feed is cutting in and out, do you mean, like, it kind of depends. If the signal to the goggles is cutting in and out, then it's potentially a VTX problem. So yeah, if you want to be a little bit more specific, I can maybe help. Or he says, or getting really bad banding whenever I throttle or move the drone. Check that you haven't lost your antenna. Try a different antenna. It's a strange problem. Well, I just gave you a whole bunch of different things to check, so check those all, and if you still haven't found it, we can move forward. Hold on. We're going to do Rock Crawlers first, but then I'm excited for the next comment. Rock Crawler says, thanks, CiottiFPV, for bringing it back down to earth. I get a bit fuzzy-headed. We're nervous. It's all good. Gas Fart 333 says, Bardwell has a theory you'll burn out your MOSFET if you run 2 size batteries and limit the larger cell. What? I'm thinking a 1 to 2S rig with BT 2.0, and I wonder if I shouldn't abs stick to 2S. Bardwell has a theory you'll burn out your MOSFETs if you run 2 size batteries and limit the larger cell. We talking like at the same time or separately? I'm thinking a 1 to 2S rig with BT 2.0 and wonder if I shouldn't stick to 2S. Here's what I'll say. I don't quite understand the question, if I'm honest, but here's what I will say. There are little to no situations where you're going to want 2S with BT 2.0. BT 2.0 is mainly a 1S connector. Once you get up to 2S, it's mainly XT30. I would just not, and here's the other thing. 1S to 2S, that is you are doubling the voltage. And so there's really not going to be a motor that is going to put up with 1S and then 2S, because if it has enough power on 1S, on 2S you're going to have to motor limit it down to like 50%, and that's too much. You never want to motor limit down below like 70%. So yeah, and here's kind of the other thing. A 1S rig that you then put 2S on is going to have major durability problems. 2S is doubling the weight of the battery. So like a rig that works with both 1S and 2S is going to have serious compromises on either side, and it's going to make you just not use it. Like, it's either going to suck ass on 1S and be decent on 2S, or the opposite of that. It's not going to be good anywhere, though. Like, if you make it good on 2S, then it's going to be useless on 1S, and the same thing reverses around. So, yeah, 1S to 2S, the problem is it's doubling the voltage. 4S and 6S is acceptable because it's only 50% more voltage, right? So like a 2400 kV motor, you can limit that down to 70% and run it on 6S and still have a really good flight experience. But if you were trying to build a 4S rig that you can also run on 8S, that ain't going to work for the same reason that a 1S, 2S rig is not going to work. So, yeah, I would definitely advise against trying to build anything that'll work on both 1S and 2S, because it's just going to be so bad on one or the other that you're not going to want to fly it. So, yeah, don't do that, in my opinion. RT McKinney says, a surprise awaits you in PayPal. Oh, shit. Hey, speaking of PayPal, which comes through my email, let me give a couple shout outs real quick. I'm going to go from oldest to newest in my email. Piotr W, I'm not going to wreck your last name. Thanks for joining the Patreon, my man. He's looking to get in on some, I don't know what that currency is, but I think he's looking to get in on some giveaways. Very cool. Captain Insano, welcome to the Gangely Gang. Thank you for the support over on Patreon, my friend. And then Michael K, thank you for hopping onto the Patreon. Welcome to the gangliest of gangs in all the gangland. Michael Jones editing his pledge. Thank you, brother. Right. And then what do we got here? Paul Whittingham, welcome to the gangliest of gangs and all the gang. Holy shit. Richard McKinney with a $300 PayPal. Good Lord. He says that's for your O3 air unit. Dude, holy shit. Thank you so much. Let's get that updated. Post haste. We've got 340. Look at us go. So what that means is that I'm going to get one single O3 air unit, and we're going to play this game of how do we get it to link up to a set of V2 goggles. I'm not going to get the goggles 2 yet. And then we're going to play the game of, yeah, like, what's that look like? What's it look like to have Vistas and an O3 air unit and try to run them off of the V2 goggles? I think it's kind of a nightmare. I think you have to change the goggle firmware every time you want to hook up to the Vista versus the O3, but we're going to see for sure. And we're also going to, this is also going to be really nice because I'm going to see what that O3 air unit will fit in. Will it fit in a Glide? Will it fit in a QAV Pro? Will it fit in the old school AOS Cine 25? I don't think it'll fit in any of them, but we're going to try it. And then we'll get some footage from it, hopefully. Yeah, no, we'll certainly get some footage for it because I'm going to bind to it. I am going to figure out what the process is to get bound up to it. And so we'll go out, I'll put the settings, we'll get some 4K footage with it. If I can find a rig that'll fit in. There's got to be something here that'll fit in. Although I don't think maybe it'll fit in the Cinesplorer. It'll fit in something. There's got to be something here that'll fit in. Dude, thank you so much, RT. My God, my man, super generous. Tommy Newton says, "What's up, Gangly Gang?" Athix says, "I remember the car video you did a few years back." Oh, I've done many car videos. Oh boy, this entire YouTube channel was started on car videos. Nobody watched them, but hey, RT, thanks again. Jesus. Terry Burnett with a $10 super chat. He says, "I fly outside more than inside due to the size of my space, and the dogs go nuts. What do you think? HappyModel baseline." I'm liking the board. Which board does that use? Let's take a quick look. Let's see. So is that the X12? It's the X12. Yeah, you know, the X12 is an interesting AIO. It only fits in the Mobula 7 V4 frame. I think maybe the V3 frame too. But yeah, it's hard to find a frame that the X12 fits in. So putting it in a TinyWhoop, a toothpick, makes an awful lot of sense. Yeah, it's super interesting. I personally have not fallen in love with these really, really, really lightweight, small propellered toothpicks. I think that the 3-inch toothpicks are like as slow as I'm willing to go. And they're also like super safe and not loud at all. So yeah, like I want to love these smaller toothpicks because so many people tell me that they're the greatest thing on earth, but every time I fly them, I'm just left wanting more power. So yeah, I can't say that I'm a fan. This one isn't going to do it. Like, I haven't technically flown this one per se, but this isn't going to do anything any differently than the ones that I have flown. You know, the toothpick formula is pretty kind of set in stone. Some of this comes from just being burned out on the way that toothpicks fly, admittedly. You know, 7 years ago, for my first like year and a half of FPV, I flew nothing but toothpick rigs, but it was before anybody knew to call them that. But yeah, my first minimum few thousand batteries, maybe more than that, was flown on toothpick rigs. Started off 2.3-inch propellers, and then 2.5-inch propellers, and then 3-inch propellers. So just the toothpick format is something that I'm kind of burned out on, admittedly. I would also kind of, with the other thing that happens to me with this style of rig is I would rather fly a 75mm toothpick to get the prop guards. Like, if the rig is going to be this small, I want to shoot, and this is just me, if this is not you, it's fine. I want to shoot really small gaps with it. And when the motors and propellers are exposed like this, if you get that wrong, you either break something or it falls out of the air. And what drives me insane about these rigs is they don't turtle mode well. Because if it falls out of the air and there's one single blade of mowed grass, you're done. It's not gonna, you're taking the walk. So yeah, and the other thing is, with no guards around the ducts, they're very slidey. So trying to line up for that small gap, I'm just not good enough with these non-ducted rigs. I need a rig with ducts, which is going to make the rig track in a more straight line. When you look at like the air resistance, so you're flying straight and then there's a gap here, so you turn towards the gap. A rig with guards or ducts like this, when you turn it, those ducts are an aerodynamic nightmare for it to keep going this way. So it doesn't. You turn it and it turns with you. It's like a scalpel in that way. When you take these guards off, they become very slidey. So there's the gap. You turn it, but there's not enough air resistance. It keeps sliding and it bangs into the other side of the gap. So yeah, for me, if I'm going to fly something smaller than 3 inches outside, it's going to be a 75mm TinyWhoop, so that I can shoot all the wee little gaps. And it does turtle mode a lot better as well. I can't, when I fly these little rigs like this, and I mean, I continue to try it. Like I've built a bunch in the past, and I continue to build them. I've got this little Chubito and this little Mosquito here, all ready to fly. They're just sitting here. Like I don't like the way they fly. I'm gonna fly these because I continue to at least give it a shot, but like I'm not excited to fly them because I know what they're gonna fly like. I don't know, maybe these will change my mind. They won't, but so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I know that like I feel bad because I know a lot of you guys like the way these fly. I just can't figure it out. It just doesn't do it for me. I would rather take a full-blown 3-inch toothpick where it's got a bunch of power on like 1204 motors, you know, 8000 kV 2S, like really something that's got some oompa loompa, so that I can throw it up over a big tree. You know, these little things, there's no chance of going inverted over anything with any actual size. So you end up just flying it like an RC car. Like you can go up and down like this, but you can't like invert. And for me, I love being upside down. I love all this like wacky 3-dimensional-ish sort of flying. So, but again, that's just me. You fly what you love, and that's the. Can I just for a second? Why has YouTube done this? Why, no matter where I click in here, does it act like I'm right-clicking? What the fuck? This prevents me from being able to scroll and just in general do anything. Why have they done this? What is the point of doing this, YouTube? Why? Oh, fuck you. Now there's something else happening. What did that just do? Oh, okay, that's not too bad. It just opened up that. But, like, why? 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 Why would you do that? Why? Hasn't been like that. Quad City Barrier with a $5 super chat. He says, I love the Micro Apex, but it's over 250. Flies so good. It flies so good because it's over 250. 250 is a number that it's still a little bit too light with 3-inch propellers. I actually prefer the way 2.5-inch props fly at 250. With 3-inch props, I really like how they fly at 300. And then with 3.5-inch props, I really only like that at like 350 or 400. Yeah, Micro Apex is a super interesting frame. It's way heavier than it needs to be. It's basically a 5-inch frame that's been shrunken down. It's not a purpose-built 3-inch frame. Like, it's kind of an afterthought. And so there's a couple things that are wrong with it. Mainly the thickness of the arms. The arms are way too thick. Our micro motors are very fragile, so putting them on a very thick arm causes you to blow up a shitload of micro motors, which is super annoying. So yeah, the Apex Mini with 3mm thick arms rather than 4mm thick arms would be so much better. But the frame, the body of the frame is actually too heavy. Like that would help the situation, but again, it's a 5-inch frame that's been scaled down to 3-inch, and that doesn't work all that well. You gotta do some. You gotta make 3-inch frames lighter, and yeah, that's why it's over 250. But again, that's why it flies so good. You get, by being up over 250 on 3-inch props, you get some of the off throttle throw back that you lose with these smaller rigs. The other problem with doing the 2.5-inch prop builds is there aren't really any motors that are high enough kV, which is a shame. But hopefully there'll be a solution to that in the future. Maybe not, but maybe. We'll see. What else is happening here? Tommy Newton says, "What's up, Gangly Gang?" Athix says, "Oh no, we got that." Terry Burnett with it. We got that. Gasfart says, Bardwell theory, limiting the KV will burn out MOSFET. Yeah, I mean, if you're having to limit it down to 50%, you're in the land of the unknown, and that could very well be right. Motor limiting from 60% to like 100%, you should be completely fine. I did it for over a year on a 5-inch rig, and there was not a single hiccup. So yeah, it has to do with the timing that the MOSFETs have to stay open. I've talked to Ryan Harrell at length about it, but yeah, as long as you keep your motor limiting above like 60 to 70%, you should be completely fine. Justin the Guy says, I think he's talking about different MAH, like a 2S using 2. Oh, okay. Oh. Gasfart says, no, it was 4S to 6S, but I wasn't thinking the 1S to 2S is 100% jump. Got it. Okay, so we got it taken care of. 2 different batteries with different MAHs should be fine. If the MAHs are like if you take a TinyWhoop 300 MAH battery and then like a I don't know, 3000 MAH 1S battery, the battery with the higher MAH is going to kind of push on the smaller battery to some extent. So you wouldn't want to go a huge offset like that. But like if you had a 300 and a 450 and you ran those in parallel, I think it would be, you should be completely fine. RT McKinney says, enjoy. I certainly will, brother. As will everybody that watches this live stream. So everybody go over to RT McKinney's channel and show him some love. He's got no videos, but subscribe anyway. Here's a link. Go subscribe to RT McKinney and let's browbeat him into making some edits, since he's gonna have a whole bunch of subscribers. It's in the chat. Link in the chat. Denzel the Terrible says, I measured my glide. It looks like the 03 will fit. Cam is 23 millimeters wide. Might require fine-tuning amount to get minimal standoff in view. That's my next project. Very cool. Sounds like I'll be doing it right along with you. Spander says, are we simming tonight? Yep. Whoa, it's 4:30 already? Jeez. Okay, we're going to jump into the sim right now. McConnell Studio says, I have a Cinesplorer with an 03 and it is clear view. Very cool. Cinesplorer. Okay. Love that. That makes sense. Yeah, Cinesplorer's got tons of room. McConnell Studios also says, also I have a screw and spacer setup for the 03 that hard mounts it easily on the frame and allows the cable under it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to dive into that, see what I can do about that. Marcel Off Axis says, doesn't do that for me. YouTube is weird. Denzel the Terrible says, my YouTube don't do that. I think it's because I'm running a live stream, maybe? I don't know. Mouse, it's not mouse settings. Nope. CMYK says, what's up? Prado says, I'm about to buy a Cinelog 20 HD 03 for real estate here in Spain for 300 pounds. What do you think about the drone? I hate to be a naysayer, but for real estate stuff, I personally don't think that FPV is the right solution. I think that a gimbal on a stick is what you want for the interior stuff, and then for the exterior stuff, like just a Mavic, something with a gimbal, so that you can, so that on windy days and whatnot, it's not like kind of a nightmare. Cinelog 20. So if you're hellbent on a real FPV rig for real estate, I understand the Cinelog style rig. It's going to be incredibly difficult to fly, though. Hopefully you're a really, really, really good pilot, because this Cinelog style rig, where it has prop guards, very low profile prop guards, that forces you to fly very flat. And when you fly very flat, so the reason why you have to fly flat is because those guards are not tall enough to provide enough air resistance. With a proper rig, like a proper Cinewhoop with big tall ducts, the vertical face of the duct makes the rig fly very slow. So what you can end up doing is you can actually pitch the thing forward, and what that does is it makes your throttle resolution a lot easier, because when you start to pitch forward a bunch, your thrust is going backwards, and the backwards thrust does not bounce you up in the air. Like, do this. Go out and fly really low to the ground. Try to fly as low as you possibly can to the ground, and fly it really slow. When you fly it really slow, you're going to be very flat, and all of your thrust is going to be going down. So when you change the throttle position even a little bit, you're going to bounce up in elevation, and then you're going to settle back down, and you're going to bounce up, and you're going to settle back down. Then nose down and go 40, 50 miles an hour. And what you'll notice when you're going 40, 50 miles an hour is that you won't be bouncing up as much. You'll have much finer elevation control. And it's because when you're nose down, most of the thrust is going backwards, only a small percentage of the thrust is going downwards, so you can change your throttle position a bunch, and it will only put a little bit of thrust down, and that will have a nice subtle elevation change. Versus when you're flat, all of the thrust is going down, so every little movement is going to bounce you up in the air. And one of the things, in my opinion at least, that makes FPV flying look unprofessional is elevation bouncing all over the damn place. Like, somebody that's really good will be able to lock in on elevation, and it flies around as if you're walking around with a gimbal on a stick. It's kind of why I recommend gimbals on a stick for real estate stuff. But yeah, if you're hell-bent on an FPV rig, I'm hoping that you're a really good pilot, because you're gonna need to be with a rig with guards. The guards are gonna be better for like freestyle flying. They're not really for trying to do Cinewhoop-ish stuff. So yeah, I hate to kind of burst your bubble on that one, but I've been down that road. I've tried rigs with guards versus ducts, and personally, I'm just not a good enough pilot to fly things that just have the guards. If I'm going to be doing in-close technical work like what you're going to need to do on real estate gigs, personally, I need as much of an advantage as possible, and that's going to come from big, tall ducts. I do not know, like, the Cinesplorer is kind of the one, like, but the problem with the Cinesplorer is the weight goes nuts. Like, I don't really know of any rigs that are all that good for real estate stuff other than the Avada. Like, the Avada has done the best real estate stuff I've ever seen, because it's using sensors and LiDAR and all kinds of wacky shit to dial the elevation in, and that's why it does such a good job. So if I was personally going to go in, and I'm not even kidding right now, if I was going to start doing real estate FPV work, I would get an Avada. Like, just no bullshit. And then with the Avada, you're also going to get the advantage of the variable up tilt. So I think you can go down to a negative up tilt. So like the one shot everybody's looking for on real estate stuff, and this is why I recommend a Mavic, is like a 45-degree down shot approaching the house, right? You go up really high, you show the neighborhood, and then you drop down and you fly like this with the camera straight ahead, and then you approach the front door, and then you fly in the front door. The Avado, I think, will let you do that. I think you can tilt the camera down a little bit, so you can get that intro shot, and then you can fly right through the house, and yeah, do that. So, yeah, many have tried to use FPV for real estate stuff. Some people still do it. I've never seen any footage from FPV in a real estate setting that was any better than what you could do with a Mavic for that first shot, and then a gimbal on a stick, just walking around the house at the same elevation, going into rooms, out of rooms. Nobody cares. Nobody that's going to watch a real estate video cares whether or not it's a one take. The whole one take thing, it just doesn't matter in that setting. Like, they're looking to buy a house. Like, those are ads being made for people that are looking to buy a house, not people that are looking to hire an FPV pilot. The one take thing is very impressive for us as pilots to try to sell our services. Look how good I am. I don't need to cut away. I can do this all in one shot. So do it once for your reel or whatever, and then never do it again, because stop! Because yeah, it's just, it doesn't have any value to the actual people that are going to be viewing those real estate ads. And if the person hiring you to fly the real estate ads doesn't understand that, explain it to them. Because like, doing real estate fly-throughs as a one-shot is a pain in the ass, and it's going to net a worse end result than doing it in the ways that people have really figured out how to do it. Like, real estate stuff, like, it's been figured out. It's such a big thing, and there's so much money in it that, like, the industry filmmakers have figured out the right way of doing it, and trying to do it with FPV is forcing something where it kind of shouldn't be forced. And ask your lady, she'll tell you that that's no good. Sorry. That was gross. But welcome to the CiottiFPV show. Here we go. Let's do some simming. I accidentally left the chat behind the paywall here. Come on. Come on. Please, Velocidrone. Please don't not let me fucking click the top bar. Are you kidding me? Why? Is this real life? Am I gonna have to quit out of Velocidrone? No. Here we go. Well, maybe. Hold on. Will it let me hide it at least? It won't even let me hide it. Wow, Velocidrone, how have you done this? I mean, I have it set to hide. Okay, I'm gonna have to quit out of Velocidrone because it won't let me do anything. Is this? Are you fucking with me right now? There we go. Jesus Christ on a cracker. My God, man. Okay. Now I don't know how to get back. There we go. Your Majesty says, any thoughts on that spec 75mm whoop class that TinyWhoop made those purple motors for? Would you ever race? No. I have negative interest in racing. If I'm gonna race, it's gonna be in a car. That is the only. Yeah, I just don't like racing FPV drones. It's not fun. It's frustrating. I kind of don't think it's the right use for drones, although everybody disagrees with me on that, right? Racing is way more popular than freestyle, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly a lot cheaper than racing cars. Although, I mean, autocross is not all that expensive. You could argue that autocross is cheaper than FPV drone racing because you can do it with your daily. And, yeah, you'll spend like $35 an event. Hey! So yeah. You'll never catch me racing. It's just frustrating to me. It's not fun. It's just all frustration. Marcel Alfaxis says, what do you think about those top mounts for Cinewhoops for a camera person to hold the drone before or after flight for a different style like Ummagawd did for a film shoot? I absolutely love it. I love the idea. So what Off-Axis is talking about, basically, you have a PA, or better yet, a camera operator hold. You can do it with just regular ducted drones. You don't even need a handle. You can just pick up a regularly ducted drone from the ducts, and you can operate it like a regular camera, and then you just work it out with like a safe word or something like that, and then they go like this, and then you arm it and take control and fly it away. So you can get really up close shots like this and then get a big huge pullback or push in. You can do it the other way around where you push in. This is what I've done before. I've pushed in on a shot, and then the director comes in, they hide behind a corner, and then when I fly by, they come in behind it, and they pick it up, and they grab it on the outside, operate it like an actual, static camera, and then when they say now, I take it off and fly it away. I've done that on one shoot. I love that. I absolutely love that idea, because people that know what FPV is all of a sudden go, wait, what the fuck? Like, you bring the camera an inch from somebody's face, and they're like, whoa, okay, that's not being flown with the props on. So yeah, I really dig that, and there are, that's not the right screen, there are handles for the top and bottom of some of these frames that make that process even easier. So that's super cool. Super, super, super cool. Just trying to get into that little slot there. Get in there. Let's get it in the slot, friends. So you're going to line up to the right, and you're going to turn it over to the left. And that's going to give you the momentum to get on in there. Or you're going to line up to the left and rotate it to the right. That's how you get into a really narrow gap like that. If you just try to do it straight on, you better damn well be sure that you're all the way off the throttle before you put the roll in. So if I want to do this straight, I got to come off the throttle early and just rotate it over. And you can see it's still carried momentum, because whichever direction you roll the rig over, those motors are going to create more thrust than the other side is going to create braking. So even when you're totally lined up, although I got it pretty clean on that one, yeah, it helps to, or you can just throw it in there on a reversal like that. That's an easy way to get into a tight gap. Just don't spin on the way down like I just did. Dive gaps. When you dive things, guys, this is how you dive them. Just like that. That's it. Dive it like that. Don't turn on the way down. Nobody wants to see this. They're not here for this. When you're doing a dive, the subject is the building, and it's the coolest shit ever. So leave it like this. Dive the building like that so that people can look at the building and they can focus on the cool windows that are screaming by, and you can focus on getting close to the building. That's how you do a dive. None of this. Stop this. Nobody wants that rotation. Or you can dive like this. I've been trying to get some nose-in dive stuff. But it's really hard because you have you can't make any corrections. So see, you get kind of pulled towards the object. So the trick is the first trick is to kill your forward momentum. But then the other trick is to point the rig out like that. But the problem is when you point the rig out like that, you can no longer see the building. So it's as if you're not even diving. So it's I don't really know if there's a great way of doing it. Like, so for example, even if I just park it here. So if I can perfectly hover it with no forward momentum, it's still, see how it still kind of picks up forward momentum? Because the props are making thrust. So I realistically, I think the only way to do it is to set up a normal dive. Set up a normal dive and then just rotate it 180. Get it established and then see, but it still pulls itself in. It still pulls in because air mode is on. But yeah, do everyone a favor and start doing your dives like this. No more. No more of this. No more of this. No more of that. And I know why you're doing that. You're doing that because you're going up to the top of the dive and you're adding too much throttle and you're bouncing out away from the wall, so you're using this to then throttle back in towards the wall. But just, there's a solution to that. The solution to that is your angle of attack on the rig, right? So if you throw it in and you add too much throttle and you're bouncing away, point in towards the wall and that'll pull you back in. Point down towards it and that'll suck you back into it. You don't need to go spinning around to suck back into it. You're out too far, point in towards it, aerodynamically it'll pull you back in. That's the correct solution. Or just do it again. If you spent all this time climbing up the big building and you get to the top and you do this and you accidentally add too much throttle and you're coming out, just bail. Bail, come up, and do it again. Nobody cares about the climb. Everybody cares about the dive. and do it again until you get it right. That's cool right there. That looks good. This does not look good. This is dizzying. Don't make people dizzy. Whoa! Got it up in there. Will it travel? Will it travel? Nope. Not enough weight. Too late weight. Oh god. Tried to get it in the bus stop. What was that? Netcode, yo. Netcode for sure. Denzel the Terrible says, mouse up in the top left corner. Toggle says, what's the best way to solder or install motor plug / the double-sided 3-pin plug connectors on an AIO FC? What's the best way to solder or install motor plug? It's tough to do, actually. There's not like a trick. You just want to use you got to do it right. You got to use all the fundamentals. You got to use flux. You got to have the work situated in a good location, like all the fundamentals that I talk about every time I'm soldering. You got to do all that stuff. You got to have your tweezers. You got to do it right. You got to take your time. Magnification will help. Get you some nerd goggles if your eyesight is not absolutely perfect. To get you a little magnification going. And yeah, just take your time. Don't skip any steps. It's a tough one. It's a tough thing to do, but you'll get it. You'll get it. All right, let's do a little bit more here. And then we'll go chase some virtual drift cars. Whoa! Ah, not enough of a blip. What you know about that? Spider-Man up in this motherfucker. Oh, that was luck. Spider-Man! Oh! Got me. Got me! Oh! That was silly. Oh! Almost in midair there. Will it make it? Nope, wouldn't have made it. Hey! Oh! I knew that was going to be a little close. Hey. I love when you have, when there are vertical, when you're in between two vertical things and you do a roll. It's such a cool look. Like just rolling down the street here. Like there's just so much going on. There's so much rotation going on. Who dis? Who dis? Oh, getting in that gap! Let's see if I can catch him. Nice. Whoever that was, bravo. I think that might have been Captain Insano. I'm appalled that I did a spin on the way down that dive. Ah, I tried to get it in the slot, but missed. So if you were trying to do this slot dive, let's talk a little bit more about this. If you were trying to do this slot dive, here's a way of doing this in real life, right? So if you want to throw it in backwards at least, get yourself lined up with the slot, get it hovering, spin around, and look at the building. Find a reference point in this building. So I'm in the slot, right? Fly straight across the street. And so my reference point is this left side of the windows. So if I fly straight towards the left side of these windows, and I throw it back, it's going to throw it into the gap. Left side of the windows, back, it's going to go into the gap every time. As long as you're level, right? Like if you could technically come over here, but then be at an angle. But that's going to make your job a lot more difficult. I do this in the house a lot, like especially in the basement here. I have an idea of where these gates are lined up on the ceiling tile metal dividers. So sometimes I can just like look up and I'll see the right divider, and then I can just and I'll know that that's the divider where one of these gates is, and then I can just reference on that and just throw it back on that divider, and I know that I'll be correct left to right. Up and down is another story, but yeah, that's a way of getting your left to right correct. Hey, let's play with gravity. What can we do here? That's pretty cool looking. Oh, that was luck. Not even gonna lie. Ah! Ah! Oh! That was, I'm into that. So this is how I use the trippy spin. I do not like the way that trippy spins look. I do not like being, like, just this whole, like, constantly upside down thing. What is that? Like, yeah, I get that it's hard and other pilots are going to be like, wow, you're so good. But, like, it's actually not that difficult. It's just an orbit the other way around. And it, like, from like a what the hell am I looking at perspective, it just looks stupid. They just look dumb. But one of the ways that I've been using that trippy spin sort of stick input forever is you come to the edge of a building, you rotate out around it, and then you fuck up. Hold on. I haven't done it in a while. It's a way to kind of wrap around a building with like a little bit of backwardsness, and it's not really all that hard. You just rotate out, and then you blast the throttle to go around the corner of the building. Here, I'll do it on this stripy building so you can really see it. So if you're coming down this wall, you rotate inwards, and then you throw it like that, and you go around the corner of the building. Or the other way, you rotate out. And, I mean, there's any number of things you can do with it at that point. Like, you need that throttle to kill the momentum. You can turn it into, like, a building dive at that point. Let's try that. So, if I come out here and just... How would you turn it into a building dive? Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's hard to turn it into a building dive smoothly. I did it a little too early there. You guys see what I'm doing on that? You're using that big outward burst of throttle to stick it to that wall. Right? See that? That's slick. That's the move right there. You let it fall down. Bring it to the edge. You keep it rolling around and let it reverse dive down. I guess you could do it... I guess you could technically turn it inwards. Wait, no, that is me turning it. If you do it outwards... So by turning inwards, you keep the building, the subject, in view the whole time, right? That's the whole point. You're looking at it, still looking at it. If you turn... You can technically do it with less of a motion to turn outwards. but it just kind of looks awkward. Like you just look away from the object. I guess if you pitch back enough, you can do it like that. And that's kind of cool. But I prefer it the other way. That's really all a trippy spin is right there. What you know about that? Oh, it's cool looking. Get in that slot, yo. You can also kind of tag it up with, tag it in with like a wall ride. You ride the wall like this, and you can pitch forward and jam on the throttle. Similar kind of camera move, right, to wrap around the side of the building. Just sketchy because you're fully blind when you're doing it. That's not me doing it. That's me doing something else. Ooh. Uh-oh. Get in there, get in there, get in there, get in, get in, get in, get in. Ah, almost. All right, let's chase some drift cars. Menu, change track, and we're gonna go to drift track. Fly. Here we go, friends. Off axis says, sounds like someone needs to mix up your gates. Nah. Ryan9 says, turn on pilot name settings screen. Player indicators always on. It's at the bottom. All right, next time I'm in the main menu, I'll do that. It doesn't let you change a lot of the stuff when you're in here, when you're in the game. It doesn't even give me. Ooh, that's nice. Set reset point. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, it doesn't give you all the settings in here. You have to back all the way out. No. Don't want to do that. Am I at? What up tilt am I at? I'm flying around at 20. I might start using 20 degrees on everything. It'll certainly help with the adjustment between TinyWhoops and everything else. Here we go again. Let's get on them. Man, this is fun. It is fun to chase these bigger cars and be able to like kind of freestyle through this. Oh, I was trying to get under it. Velocidrone got the speeds a little wrong. These cars are really fast. I wish they were a little slower. Like super pro level drifters, yeah, sure, they carry this much speed, but the local guys that most people are going to be able to chase are nowhere near this. Okay, where'd they go? Here. Go. Yeah, it is hard to keep up with these guys. And in fairness, this is like a big open drift track setup, layout. And to be honest, the fact that Velocidrone was able to put this in at all is absolutely absurd. So, I mean, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me or anything, but will be cool for, like, you know, it'd be nice, like, just a little setting, like a little percent speed setting. Hey. Come here, little AE86. Come back! Hold on, let's go to... Maybe, are they maybe slower as single cars, by chance? Nah. Oh, Come on, get under there. Yeah, doing this keeping up with them with 20 degrees of up tilt is really difficult. You got to just resign yourself to like looking down a lot, which is kind of cool. I mean, that really like shows what line they're on and stuff like that, which is nice. I'll put all 3 back on again. Oh boy, just left it at full. I love in the sim that you can just leave it at full throttle and see what the hell happens with different weirdo moves. Yeah, now we're in it. God, they just rail down the straight. Yeah, like I have to work so hard just to keep up with them that I can't really do the super creative shit that I want to do. But backflipped over that bridge, person bridge, people bridge, walking bridge. There we go. This is great practice for the record, guys. Like for chasing anything, learning how to frame a shot while staying with them direction of travel wise, and just like, yeah, learning how to frame a shot while stay with something that's moving is very, very difficult and very fun. It's one of my favorite challenges in FPV. CMYK says, I put set custom location and reset location on switches. That's a really good idea. That's a really, really good idea. BS Zerman says, have you played Uncrashed? I have not. It is not Mac compatible, and I am a Mac guy. It is after 5 o'clock, my friends. We got some simming in. And, terminal's all upset. And, we talked about the 75mm build, which I'm going to have to take apart again. Quick mailbag. My dad is amazing, and on the last stream when I was bitching and moaning about not having the right hardware, he went on Amazon and ordered 3 different big old sets of I'm assuming M2 and M1.4, M1.2 and M1.4 hardware. So I'm going to hopefully these are going to be what allows me to space this 1S board out a little bit more, yeah, have the heat sink not pushing into the AIO. So we'll see. Man, the heads on these screws are really way too small. They're pushing through this canopy. Yeah, see, that one's pushed all the way through. I'll get it figured out. Maybe we'll work on it tomorrow night. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll probably work on it tomorrow night. Dingles says, did you talk about the new FPV cycle motor? Kind of, sort of, not really. I flew that motor, oh God, 6 months ago at Joshua's place, and it flew great. It flew just like his bigger motors, to be honest. I could not tell the difference. I'm sure there was a difference, but yeah, I couldn't tell the difference. Neither could Joshua. So yeah, they're awesome. They got some really cool new colors, and my main question with FPV cycle motors is, are they durable? And I know that Bob has beefed up the spokes and the bell and whatnot. I need to know what they weigh. I asked him on his Instagram post what they weigh, and I haven't heard back yet. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty all in on the T-Motor F40 Pro 4s, and I have a ton of them, so I won't be trying those motors anytime soon, especially because I barely fly 5-inch freestyle anymore. But at some point, when I get through all of the F40 Pro 4s, that'll probably be the motor that I go with. As long as it's light. If it's 35 grams of motor, I'm not into it. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Thanks for hanging, friends. CiottiFPV.com. If you like this kind of stuff and want to see it continue, I am 100% funded by you beautiful people. That way when I do a review, if it sucks, I tell you it sucks. If it's great, I tell you it's great. You don't have to worry about, do I have some weird allegiance to some brand that sends me a lot of stuff and I don't want them to stop sending me stuff. So yeah, support your boy for the most honest reviews in the world. And yeah, you can do that by heading over to CiottiFPV.com. Patreon helps me out the most, but there's a whole bunch of other ways that you can support me. Buy some of my stuff from Etsy or Teespring. Hire me to work with you one-on-one through Fiverr, or just message me. Don't message me on Facebook. It is hacked and I guess just gone forever. Message me on Instagram or email me. Instagram's the best, though. Here comes a little bit more flying from the RC drift chasing with the Walksnail rig. Be good, friends. Do something nice for somebody else today. Make the world a better place. I love you. Give you a little music, too. Or do something nice for yourself. Where the hell's that music coming from? Apple Music? What the fuck? No. Where the hell? What? No, asshole. What? Where did you come from? Who fucking said you could live? What? What was that about? Jesus. See you guys tomorrow night at 10. Check out Fly Tribe, yo. Awesome group of people doing cool stuff. Later. Hold on.